Hello everybody, it is Zach here, and I am doing an update on the Tahoe. I know it's been a little while, but I haven't actually put on that many miles. This is where she sits right now. She's at 229,449, and some things have changed. Let's take her for a rip here, and we'll check it out. First of all, I actually just put in a brand new battery. The other battery was an Interstate, and it was an old Interstate. It was an Interstate green top, and it was probably getting close to, I think it was like 7 or 8 years old, which is, I think, a pretty long time for a battery. I think what actually put it over the edge, though, was I put a new rear end in this thing, and it needed to be a neutral for that new rear end, so I could put the transmission, let me back up. I needed to put the transmission in neutral so I could spin that, carrier in the rear end, and unfortunately that kills the battery because all the lights kicked on, and it wasn't a super strong battery because it was older, but I put a battery charger on it, and I have like an old school battery charger where it's not the new ones where it shuts off, it's the old kind, so it just charged and charged and charged, and I think it ended up frying that battery. So I just put a new battery in it was a Walmart battery. The manual calls for 600 to 690 cold cranking amps. This one here is just a 600 one. I got it from Walmart, so it's not the best, but the warranty on it is decent enough where I felt for $77, I think it came with like a 2-year warranty or something like that. I thought, no, you can't really go wrong. So, yeah, we'll see. What else is going on? There's no check engine lights on. When I also did that rear end, it reset that check engine light, and it's been off ever since. So that's check engine lights bother me. So I'm really, really happy about that. Just last week it was doing this thing where the RPM gauge, I got a post-it note covering it, but the RPM gauge, after a drive, it would sit, right around where it's sitting, that 500 mark, but it would dip about 150 RPMs, like it was having a drain on it. So what I did is I opened up that, I opened up the intake, that butterfly valve. I took the 3 10mm bolts off, pulled it out, and the back of that was really sooty, or I guess you could say carbon buildup, or just oil buildup, or dirt, whatever you want to say. And I cleaned it out with the proper cleaner, and then I ended up putting a new gasket on because it was only about $6, and that fixed it. So I think that butterfly valve was getting a little bit caught on some of that carbon buildup, and it caused it to constantly fluctuate because it was trying to adjust. Let's see. Okay, so that's what I've done. I feel like I've done something else, but I just don't remember. I think that's all. Now we're going to go into what it needs. At this point in time, the Tahoe needs a couple of reasonably decent upgrades. First of all, it needs tires. I am looking for a used set of tires, but they're hard to come by. They're 265/75 16s. I'm either looking for that size, or else I'm going to look for 235/80 16s, a thinner, taller, I believe is what that is, tire that would fit these rims, but we'll see what I can come up with. it needs shocks all the way around, and this has the premium air ride suspension. I think it's called like the Z55 or the ZW5 or something like that. I'm not going to put air shocks back on it because it needs the compressor, it needs everything, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I was able to go to 1aauto.com, and they have a conversion kit for this particular model. And basically you put, it's like Monroe Sensatrack, basically, shocks, which is a shock with a coil spring over it to add a little bit of rigidness, I guess you'd say, or a little bit better ride quality, because the back of this doesn't have leaf springs, it just has coil springs. But it's not like a strut setup, it's a coil spring and then a separate shock. So there's a kit, you get the two rears and the two fronts for $171, and I think that's a very cheap price. I think that's actually almost too cheap, but I'm willing to give it a try. Yeah, I'm willing to give it a try because, because I don't think this thing is really worth putting $1,000 worth of shocks in at this point. But she does need shocks really bad. Which brings me to my next thing. I'm getting a little bit of drive shaft, what do they call it? Drive shaft wrap or something like that. Basically, I think because the shocks are so worn out, like they're done. It's causing my rear pumpkin and axle setup, from the torque of the motor, it picks it up, kind of rotates it upward, and then in between shifts it hits back down, because there's not the torque. Very common in GM vehicles and Chevy 1500s and stuff, so I'm going to try that and see if it fixes it. Yeah, but the tires, I did find, like, I can get new ones for $500-ish when it's all said and done, but God, it's just, so I got $500 and then $200 for shocks, so $700. And what else? And then little piddly things, but really we're talking $700, and she's gonna be mint. Oh, this thing has, I'll show you, this thing has a electric start. It is a Viper brand, sorry, it's a Viper brand one, but as you can see, I have the little face cover on it, but it doesn't work because the antenna fell off, and it was really a piece of junk. Like, you put a battery in it. I took the little speaker out because it would beep all the time, so you could lock and unlock if you were within a couple feet of the vehicle. But I took the little microphone out, and the antenna was already falling out when I bought the vehicle. So what I did is I just went online. I ordered myself a $20 key fob here, and I programmed it so now she locks and unlocks to the standard, like how it would from factory, which I'm happy with because the electronic start is really, really nice. And being I live in apartments, I could actually hit the button and she'd start right up. But the price difference was $30, and I thought, if I have electric start, I'm always going to be using it. I'm going to burn through 15 minutes worth of gas every single startup, and it just didn't seem super logical to me at this point in time. I can walk down here and sit in the vehicle for 2 minutes while she gets some oil moved around her motor, and then, take off slow, and I don't really beat this thing up too bad, so anyways, so that's kind of, this video's getting a little long. That's pretty much what's going on with this thing. Of course, it needs a couple other little piddly things, but that's going to be the major investment, is going to be the shocks and the tires. Really, after that, this thing will be about where it's supposed to be. And with that conversion, what I've learned is you take a little like diode and you bridge the gap between the two wires, and what that causes your computer not to sense that it has a problem, and it won't give you that service air ride error message. So yeah, anyways, so that's an update on the Tahoe. I have another video of how many miles are on it. I bought this thing with high miles. I bought it with, I think, 224-ish miles, so I haven't put very many miles on it, but I have put some work into it, and these are known to go 250, 280. I see them over 300,000 sometimes on Craigslist. And for what this thing is, with this many miles, and it's 16 years old, it's not rusty. It's a very decent vehicle. So I would say that this and Tahoes and Suburbans in general are good vehicles to buy high mileage because they're built to last. Alright guys, let's turn it off and I'll show you that. I'll show you the beeper. There we go.